First of all, clearly that the dependency on Russian dirty fossil fuels is coming to an end. This is a dangerous dependency which in the end of the day forces us to pay a huge geopolitical price. It's extremely important to ensure that companies who are ready to implement those projects, they wouldn't meet this, red tape, the struggle, and EU exactly put such a proposal on the table within the framework of REPowerEU, ensuring that we have a go-to zones around Europe where wind parks, solar parks could be very quickly deployed. I think your government took many right decisions. The big issue is, of course, the price for the households and especially the poorest ones. So you made a decision on availability of 200 million to Moldova, which will be available at the beginning of January. 50 million of that is actually to ensure that the poorest households would get a support. Moldova has become a part of LIFE program, and LIFE is our environment and climate fund, from which we have the total pot of 5.4 billion that we implement different projects regarding the environmental protection, regarding the climate policies, energy efficiency, water scarcity, scarcity prevention, afforestation, and so on across EU and now in Moldova too. So we're working closely together, and I think some progress has been done, but of course much more needs to be done. We are of course evaluating Moldova's efforts. I had meetings with your president, prime minister, responsible minister, and I can say that very important is, of course, building the capacity of institutions, because without the people it's very difficult to prepare reforms, to adjust them to European directives. I think we will do the further steps working together. There is definitely a number of issues, but I think the government is on the right track as regards the waste management reform, as regards the afforestation of Moldova, with an ambitious plan of increasing from 11 to 25% forest coverage, even going further to decrease of pollution. Corruption in any field, environmental or any other field, is a cancer for any country, and to have a successful country where citizens believe in the country, this is something that you have to eradicate. Unfortunately, we have a very tough history of Soviet past, where for some reason people believe that stealing from the country means that you're basically stealing from nobody, but you're actually stealing from your own pocket. That takes time. That takes time to change, and of course, again, you have to have a strong work of institutions that has to be independent from the politicians. Institutions that are able to ensure investigations, institutions that are funded to carry on those investigations, and then you can build on that. Absolutely. We're working very closely with Ukraine's Environment Ministry. We prepared together a methodology of accounting environmental damages, and it already reaches billions of euros. And with every day of unjustified, unprovoked Russia's invasion of Ukraine and war against Ukraine, that price is just increasing. And pollution respects no borders. So we already see, the increase of lead in rivers. We see increase of air pollution in especially areas closer to the EU borders. And of course, all that is a direct impact of war. And the worst that when the war will be over, this impact will stay for a very long time. First of all, they will have a huge dramatic toll on Ukraine's environment, but secondly, of course, they will be felt in regions around. Very clearly, of course, the European citizens who demanded European leaders to act on climate and environmental issues. Every Friday you would have large protests calling for increased ambition and concrete actions. Secondly, I think very clearly the member states saw that business as usual is just not possible, and we need to do a significant actions as regards the sustainability of our economy to ensure that we do not lose ecosystems, that ecosystems provide the services that are crucially needed and cannot be replaced by any of the technologies. So, for example, 80% of our crops are dependent on pollination. We've been implementing it for the 3 past years, and of course we also heard during the COVID and when war started that maybe Green Deal should be postponed. But again, in both cases it showed that the actions that we're implementing are the correct ones. Energy is responsible for more than 70% of our CO2 emissions. So the cleaning of the energy sector will be the crucial step towards decarbonizing our economies. I think first of all through the very simple examples, because climate change and environmental degradation is not something that's happening in Europe or somewhere in Africa or in the middle of the ocean. It's happening here in Moldova too. So first of all, you see it through the scarcity of water. Secondly, you see through the degradation of your soil with the decline of certain agricultural output, through the degradation of parts of your forests. Very often it is perceived that if we talk about the environmental or climate policies, this is strictly environmental protection, which doesn't allow any other activities just to protect environment. But that's not the case. Environment is part of, I would say, the foundation, the layer of our businesses, of our economies, of people's well-being and health. And I wish that it would be perceived like that. Unfortunately, it is not. But clearly that Moldova has a big issues as regards the waste management. So first of all, I think it is extremely important to continue with the extended producers responsibility scheme, because of course businesses that import or produce products, they have to take the responsibility of cleaning them, of recycling them. We are ready to work with Moldova, because I think the big issue is of course the landfills. We're now already working on the project of Chișinău landfill, and hopefully we will be able to finalize it and modernize it and ensure that this serves as an example to the rest of the country, because for a country which is very beautiful but is not extremely large, to have over 1,100 landfills is a very large number. One thing that I have 2 children that are very environmentally, how to say, aware, highly aware. So we start with the recycling, which is done very strictly at home. But also we grow a little garden in our backyard when we of course have enough time to treat it. But that also, gives additional chance for pollinators to come and etc. I think, when we have a chance and when we live in such a lovely cities, we must take a walk or ride a bike, and that's already a small efforts that each and every of us can and must do.